On today's starting nine, Jake and Carl prepare for their inaugural trip to the College World Series. Jake is already on site after making a 14-hour trip from Austin to Nebraska. One sitting Sprinter van. Can't wait to hear about it. We got some stuff around the league, some headlines, and how about an interview with Cole Irvin, Oakland A's left-handed pitcher. This guy's a big dude, nasty stuff, career on the rise. Let's get into it. Let's have a great starting nine. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday. Action! And welcome back to Starting Nine. I'm your host, Carl, alongside my host, Jake, who's not in Austin. You are in Nebraska. And, of course, Colin Cooper on the ones and twos. Boys will be together shortly. Jake, you're scouting out the territory quickly. Impressions of Omaha?
Well, we're in a nice little area. We're staying at, it's called the Acuban, something like that. It's like this little village. They've got some outdoor shops and hit up Roast, really good coffee. So when you get here, we're going to have to fire down some espresso there. Man, I'm going to tell you what, though. If anybody has ever considered renting or buying a Sprinter van, let's put it all to rest right now and go do it. I've never had a 13, 14-hour drive be so comfortable in my entire life. It's just an incredible ride. The only thing I will say is Mercedes, you're trying a little bit too hard with all these advanced warnings and blind spot protection and lane assist.
But you've always had a problem with this stuff. You don't like this stuff.
Well, I think most people would agree. Like, just let me drive the car. You know, like if you're falling asleep, that's a different thing, and you're like in another lane and you're in the shoulder or whatever. But it's just unbelievable. If you veer outside of the center of the lane at all, it like throws you back into the center, and it feels like you're getting into a collision. So
what if somebody's coming into your lane? Does it move you over left though? Like, can it help avoid somebody else's mistake?
I didn't have any issue with that. The one thing that it's a Sprinter van 2500, so it's the longer one. It's a 15 passenger with an incredible amount of cargo space. So we had Yeti coolers full of water, Topo Chico, Gatorades, you name it, bat bags. I had all my podcast equipment. We had all of Britney stuff. We had room to spare, and then each kid has like their own row, and the captain's chairs are incredibly comfortable, and it has like a crosswind sensor. So and the only time that would happen is if I'm passing a semi, you know, the wind's blocked and then the wind hits you when you pass a semi. If the wind pushes you over to the left or right at all, it like throws you back into the center of the lane. So it's kind of it's kind of scary. That's the one thing that's good because it's a higher vehicle. But I'll tell you what, man, there's 4 little sensors that you have to like deactivate when you drive this thing, because if you're not ready for it, it scares the shit out of you. And you know, we have a G-Wagon, which in my opinion is the best. I mean, it's an expensive SUV, but it's the best one on the road. I promise you that. But you got to press this button to the left side of the steering wheel to take this thing off, because it's the same sort of deal. If you go towards either boundary of your lane, it fucking throws you back into the center, and it's a scary thing. I don't know why they make it so aggressive. Maybe that's something they're working on, but that's my only complaint with this van is there's 4 things you got to take off before you can drive it. Like, look, I like manual transmissions. I like to be in control of the car, and I'm a good driver. I don't need all this technology to tell me how to stay in a lane or what the blind spot looks like. Look, we got beautiful mirrors on the Sprinter. Like, let me drive the fucking car. Or the van. Let me drive it. Yeah. That's all. AI is trying to get a little bit too in control of shit. And it's a little scary. You know?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and disrespect German engineering, but
no, it's good.
I get where you're coming from 100%. A couple things. Obviously, my knee-jerk reaction is I would like my wife to talk about me the way you talk about this Renault Sprinter van. The love and passion it elicits from you, which I think isn't just specific to you. Like, guys can get to this place. It comes from weird places. It's just like you could stumble upon a great airport. I remember the first time I flew into Charleston, I was like, God, I can't wait to fly back into Charleston. I was walking around like, have you flown into Charleston? People are like, oh, you vacationed in Charleston? I'm like, no, yeah, whatever. Fuck that. It was fine. The oysters were great. But that airport. Like, it's just a weird thing. So obviously,
right, though.
14-person Sprinter van. Yeah, it's a weird place. Guys get to
Well,
that.
here,
That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. So for people that aren't watching this video, I apologize, but I'm just gonna show you guys like this thing. It's a beautiful van.
Oh, look at
check this
baby.
out. I mean,
I'm going to
it's
describe it for you guys. I do this for a living.
it's
That's a
real,
double wide.
real fucking nice.
Those are 16-inch wheels. Enhanced brake.
It's
light
beautiful.
Sensors, 2 in the back.
So it
Full
does
tint.
need, full tent, and it was brand new. It had 30 miles on it when we picked it up yesterday morning, and I'll say this: I'm ordering one. Brittany's pissed. She's like, "No, we're not doing it," but I'm gonna finagle a way to get this. It's just for as much as we drive and all the kids and their friends, we're in the car a lot. We need it. It needs a little bit bigger tire, and it needs some things adjusted. But it's so comfortable. We got out of the car, and I told you this: a recommendation or a must for me on a road trip. Anything over 4 or 5 hours, we got to stop at Cracker Barrel. It's just kind of one of those nostalgic things. Traveling around a lot as a kid, we'd always go there. You walk in and they send you into the country store first, So first thing I saw was this little miniature tool that's a hammer and like a Swiss Army knife, and I almost bought it. If I was 10 years younger, I'm spending the $30 on the multi-tool that's a hammer, but then you get dark chocolate covered pistachios. You've got saltwater taffy. You've got all this other gummy tacos, gummy sushi. It's just a cool thing. So we stop there, and I get out of the car 6 hours in. I'm like, I feel refreshed. My back isn't tight. Hamstrings feel great. It's just, if you've got the money and you travel a lot, get you a Sprinter van.
Get a Sprinter van, guys. Get a Sprinter van. Go to Cracker Barrel. You matured out of the hand tool. I was surprised to hear that, though. 10 years ago.
Well, look, I've got no shortage of pocket knives or little multi-tools. Probably 30 or 40 little everyday carry knives. I've got, Leathermans. I've got too many gadgets, and that's one of the things. I don't know. It's just kind of part of my personality, and I have a hard time not spending money on little stupid shit. But it comes in handy.
I said that to you instantly. We get in the golf cart. You got a fucking gadget for this. You got a thing to hang this on. You got a little tool. Like it was. You're almost in a little inspector gadget there, pal.
Well, my buddies they understand that if they need something, if they need paracord, if they need a pocket knife, if you need a screwdriver or some sort of multi-tool with a hex head or something obscure that's not very common, I probably have it. So I'm a good guy to have in the group for any necessary need. If you need to start a fire, if you need a fishing line, whatever you need. If you need if you got a stripped nut that needs to be taken out, I can do all that kind of stuff. If you need to build a step stool for your kid who's learning to use the pisser for the first time, his dingus won't quite make it, I'll build a step stool. I've done it. Build furniture.
Whole block of wood. Whole block of wood.
No, I don't whittle it from one block. I don't have a lathe. Mother-in-law does. She's big into woodworking too. I kind of got her into that. Brittany was mad at me for that, and she's got like $150,000 in woodworking tools, and that's a hobby that I kind of help facilitate.
Does the
or
IRS
get
know
into.
about that? You got to claim that, or how does that work? It's around that much high power equipment. You got to depreciate that over 10 years.
I mean, she handles that, but she's got enough woodworking tools to build a friggin' house. So it's fun though. I got into woodworking about 10 years ago. Right before we had kids, maybe 11 years ago. Just something soothing about it. I'd throw in the headphones. I'd go in the garage and just start working, and 10, 12 hours would pass by, and Brittany'd come out and she'd be like, "Are you kidding me? Like you're still out here sanding this table or whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And let me show you, and I'll give you a quick photo. And this is
find that. I'm just gonna make a comment here that I think
go.
One of the more not an occupational hazard, but just a complete unnecessary risk in like a professional athlete's career. Like if I fucked my hand up sanding, like that would just take longer for me to write blogs.
You're not gonna fuck your hand up sanding, Carl.
And you know what I mean? Not sanding.
All right, so look at this. This is something I take a lot of pride in. So this is a workbench that that I built with a maple top. Check this out.
So for those of you listening that driving and stuff like this, again, go watch on YouTube this clip. This is a let me tell you something, guys. This is an absolute. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful
Very,
piece
very
of fucking
nice.
wood. Yeah.
Yeah,
Multi-layered.
Yeah, it's on casters, so you can move it around. And I that was kind of my work surface or my my desk, so to speak. I like to stand up, so I built it, a little bit above waist height. So I go out there and just, I take my notes, whatever needs to get done for the week. Whether I'm working on, a project or, cleaning a firearm. It's fun. It's all fun shit. So that's what I did. And no, you're not going to get hurt sanding unless you're using a high-powered belt sander.
Yeah, I was just throwing sanding in there. Like, you wear glasses anyways when you sand though, right? You got to wear goggles.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you don't wear goggles, pal.
Well, anytime you're using, any high-powered woodworking tool, you need eye protection. And if there's a lot of, sawdust, you need to be wearing a mask too, because long term that can definitely cause cancer. So you got to be careful there. And having a dust collection system is crucial if you're doing a lot of work. And I learned this from a good friend of mine who's definitely listened to this, named Lance Robleski. He's a phenomenal woodworker. He turned his entire garage into a shop, and his favorite company is a company called Festool. I believe that's still his favorite company. They make like the highest end tools you can buy. And he what he did for me is he made me this home plate like shadow box, and he had it. I think he had it for one of my no-hitter balls or something like that. I can't even remember what I put into it, but I'll show it on video at some point. Just shout out to Lance for making that for me. And look, if you've ever considered woodworking and you've been, tiptoeing around it, get into it. Get you some basic tools and start small.
We have a woodworking expert at Barstool named Uncle Chaps, United States Marine veteran. Or no, he's a veteran. He's a Marine. He's a sweet dude. He lives in San Antonio, Texas, actually.
Okay.
He heads up our military vertical here. Does all the content, does a bunch of the content like that. Super funny guy. We should absolutely get you two connected on.
Let's talk. Yeah, I'd love to talk to him.
Something elaborate though. I don't want a nightstand. I want something that requires multiple trips, evaluating woods, picking the tools, and collaboration together and sculpt something nice for the state of Texas. Our good friends at Game Time. There's nothing worse than when you're standing around. This could be some people in Omaha this weekend looking for tickets, don't know where to go. Prices are escalating. Game Time is coming over the top. They're the exclusive ticketing app of Barstool Sports. They make it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. So you guys make last-second plans. We'll go up. We'll see. And it's like, wait a second. Why aren't the tickets going down? They're going up. That's because people want to be in the building. Well, guess what? Game Time has cracked the code. The purchase process is so quick and easy. I'm going to be using it all weekend. Anytime I can use Game Time. And I encourage you guys to join me. At least have an opinion. I'd be interested. Go use Game Time. And then if you don't talk trash to me, you're not going to, because you're going to have a great experience. That's what it's going to take for you to really, just hammer this in here, guys. Download the Game Time app. Go to the account tab, create a login, redeem code starting9 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Just create a login, redeem code starting9 for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Are we good? We're out of Game Time. Okay, I'll say the last line of that again. Lowest prices guaranteed. Be using Game Time this week in Omaha. So just trip's good. You guys are settled in Omaha. I know Cooper's got the big tournament. How are the vibes in town? Can you start to see, are the Notre Dame people filling in? Are the I shouldn't say Tennessee. Whoops. Is it crazy?
Well, I haven't seen any players or any of the college kids. I've only seen, our team so far. When we were driving in, we got about an hour and a half away, and we had to stop because there was 80 to 90 mile an hour winds rolling through Omaha. So we stopped at a place called Johnson's Gas and Go and just kind of watch the storm roll through. And I got a picture right here if you can see it. That's the pin. We were at that little pin right there. We sat there and we let it roll through and waited it out. But no, and it's cold right now. It's like 70 degrees. Well, it's chilly. So, but it's great. It's great. Vibe's good. Coffee's good. Food's good.
I like that. I like chili. It's a magical baseball atmosphere. So I was curious if we got a taste of that yet. It will come Thursday night, come Friday morning. The water tastes a little bit crisper, like that. If you said it was 70, it's going to be 72. If you said it was too breezy, it's going to be the perfect breeze. It really is a magical place. I promise you.
I look forward to it. I really do. I've never been. I didn't go to the old Rosenblatt, and haven't been to the new one yet. So it's going to be a really cool experience, not only, for me, but, for all these kids and being able to be out here with you guys and get some work in. So it'll be fun.
All right, let's get to Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin's a left-handed pitcher for the Oakland Athletics. He's a 2016 draft pick out of Oregon. He's really settling in as a starter. He's a former teammate of Jake's. We're going to get to some weird sauna story at the end of the conversation. Like we've talked about before, this guy's very interesting to me, Jake. I know he's interesting to you. This is a great conversation with an up-and-coming, establishing starting pitcher about pitching to contact, using his mix. A lot of stuff we've been building on in the show. So let's just get to Cole Irvin. This guy's awesome. He's sitting at Fenway Park right now. Let's get to the interview. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going? You guys got me?
I think so. Jake, can you hear? All right, Jake. So, dude, you're at Fenway right now.
Yeah, at Fenway. Like, legitimately at Fenway.
All right, you're getting ready to throw a pen?
I got a bullpen at 3:50, I think, is the time. So, yeah. Yeah, we're just hanging out.
How scheduled are those bullpen times? Like, could you show up and throw it at 3:52? Would the pitching coach not care?
They don't care.
All right.
As long as we get it in, we get it in.
Right. Now, let's go back real quick. We're with Cole Irvin, obviously, Oakland Athletics, on site in Boston right now. You're putting together a nice season. Let's just start there. A lot of people are starting to chatter a little bit. Are your social media DMs starting to get like some traction more? You get the follower picked up. Maybe you go on the road a little bit. The girls at the bar are like, hey, I think that's Cole Irvin.
Well, my fiance would kill me if there was more girls sliding in that DM. But no. I mean, I have seen the followers kind of start to uptick a little bit, but nothing too crazy. I'd like to be more sociable on there. That's on me. I need to do a little bit better job of that. But I mean, yeah, we're having the starting rotation here in Oakland, we always seem to do our part. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's like one of those. It's like Steelers linebackers, Bears linebackers. Obviously, he's a Chicago guy. Should open up with Bears fucking linebackers here. Like there's just like Lakers point guard, whatever it is. Like, yeah, I mean, an Oakland Athletic starting pitcher, there's something to that. Does that vibe still exist? Everybody was still attached to Moneyball stuff. But do you guys still have that vibe of like, yo, we're just lean. We're going to go out here, do everything we can to shut the other team down? Or are you guys trying to get into more, modern mindsets, we'll say?
Nah, I think as from a starting rotation standpoint, we stick together pretty good. Like we all hang out, after games, before games, hit the bars together. We enjoy spending time with each other, and we talk pitching and we watch the games. We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of bullshit in the dugout, just mini games or talking about stupid shit. And we just have a lot of fun, and we just always try to promote the best out of each other. And the only way you do that is just by having fun.
Yep. So is that staff, you guys got your ear to the ground? You hear, hey, maybe we're moving to Vegas, or the team's moving, like the boys have some fun, or what's the pulse on that in the clubhouse?
I don't think we're really paying attention to it. I know the hitters might have something more to say about that than us. That place is. I think we've coined it. Bassett coined it last year, the gulag. The Coliseum's a gulag for baseballs. The ball does not travel well there. It's a pitcher's ballpark, and hitters have a tough time making the adjustments they need to when they're there.
Cole, what's going on, man? Hey, I've had a tremendous amount of difficulty getting this fucking thing going. Listen, it's good to see you again. Hope you're well.
Good to see you.
Pitching there is obviously great.
Right.
I believe it's every starting pitcher gets about an extra 27 outs about because of the foul territory. It's a good place
It's
to pitch.
awesome. It's great.
But would you rather pitch in a new ballpark somewhere else?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
The place is run down. The place, even for us, like we're still having to deal with some things that happen, inside the locker rooms and just stuff that's just not in terms of like a maintenance thing, like they just never were on top of when the stadium was brand new. Like you go to Angel Stadium, which is older than ours, and it's like a brand new ballpark. And it's crazy that you can go to so many different stadiums that are so much older than ours, and and see the differences in what a well-maintained facility looks like.
So you're at Fenway now. Sorry, Jake. I was just curious because
No,
he's
you're
at
good.
Fenway now, and
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you've got all these billionaires that own the teams, and they're surrounded by an incredible amount of money. And I know it's got to be frustrating for you guys. It's like, hey, man, just get us somewhere nice to play.
Yeah, and they're supposed to vote on it, I think June 30th or something like that. So we do kind of have an idea of what's going on, but yeah, we're in the big leagues. We want to play in the state of the art facilities. It's fun playing in our division with Texas. Having their new facility. Shoot, we were just in Atlanta, and a lot of guys loved playing there.
Atlanta's great.
Atlanta's awesome. And so, again, there's so many ballparks that are setting good examples of what a good facility looks like and how you can pack seats into the house every night. And that's just something that we're not really doing. We're not really,
Yeah.
it's just hard. It's really hard to talk about because there's only so much we can do, and it's out of our hands. It's kind of a wait and see for us.
in comparison, now you bring a couple of the ballparks. You are currently sitting in like section 103 or something. It looks like at Fenway Park.
Section 26 here at Fenway. Just looking out at the field.
Not far from the clubhouse.
No, right above the dugout. Right above the dugout.
And how does that compare? There a couple of these historic places. Obviously, Jake's played many seasons at Wrigley Field, but you as you're really establishing yourself this year as an everyday consistent guy. Like, is it still hit you when you get out to those historic places, or have you settled in?
Yeah, I signed the wall at Fenway last year, and so I tried finding where I signed. I tried finding like one of the spots near the furthest end of the wall that had like not been touched by signatures. And so went down there, found it. There's just so much history here. But for me, nothing's going to take away my first big league knock in Wrigley Field. And to me, that is going to have the cake over any other ballpark. Is my first knock off someone that I respect in the game of baseball, Cole Hamels. Someone that I looked up to learning how to pitch. And to be able to get a knock off him at Wrigley, that still takes the cake.
Yeah, it's got to, man. And look, I got to watch you make your first big league start in Kansas City, and I knew just from that game and knowing you a little bit, and watching you that you were eventually going to be a guy who could pitch that way on a consistent basis. So after your first season, you're kind of up and down, you're learning some things, and now you're starting to establish yourself. What are some things that you've learned from then to now that have kind of helped you develop more consistency? We all know what it takes to be consistent, right? You gotta get ahead. You gotta spin your breaker ball for strikes. That's all easy to say. But for you, like in your daily routine, what has helped you with your confidence and certain things in your preparation that, like, when you go out there, that, okay, like, I'm able to pitch to a report and be consistent and maintain, my job at the big league level?
Well, I think the biggest thing is understanding what I'm not. I'm not a high velocity guy. I'm not a high swing and miss guy. I've always been a pitch to miss, or make bad contact. I'm going to get my strikeouts here and there. I'm going to have games where I strike out 9. That's just going to happen. But for me, I'm a guy that knows who I am, knows that I want to use my changeup, want to use my fastball. And my secondary pitches are secondary for a reason. They're just there to get the hitter off what I love using as my primary. And so I think that's kind of like the biggest thing that I'm still continuing to learn and develop is just that trust in my stuff and the trust in my primary stuff and knowing how to read swings, read bats. And that's really where I think for me I've really grown confidence in is in the middle of an at bat, in the middle of a game, is making the adjustment while I'm watching swings. If I see a foul ball off to the first base side from a right-handed hitter, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're on it. For me, it's I might be able to throw a fastball up and he might swing underneath it, or I might be able to throw a fastball in and we got a weak ground ball for a double play. It's reading those types of things in that bat that I think have really helped me. Bassett and Manaea were really huge last year in terms of talking about pitching, talking about reading hitters and stuff like that, and just great minds. And I love talking to Frankie Montas too. I mean, yeah, he throws gas, but he thinks the game too.
Yeah, well, that's tremendously important. You have to be a good self-evaluator, and if you're not that, then you're going to struggle to be consistent ever at that level. And you mentioned reading swings. I don't think there's anything more important than being able to read swings, especially on the fly. You can game plan as much as you want, but then once you're in the game and you're able to read those swings, then it gives you a much more detailed understanding of what you got to do to get those guys out. And when I was young, Kevin Gregg grabbed me by the back of the neck after watching me pitch like shit for 3 months, and he sat me down in the video room and he taught me how to read swings. And, because I was just consistently throwing, left-handed hitters fastballs right into their loop. And he's like, if you can't read this swing, you're never going to be consistent here. So that's, I'm glad you said that. And a lot of young players, and I'm sure you've had these conversations with young players after having those conversations with veteran guys. That's how you develop success on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and I think what's really crazy is like this year is very new to me because we do have kind of a rotation spot, and we do have guys that kind of have been in and out of the big leagues in a rotation. Paul Blackburn's having a fantastic year, but he talks about reading swings. He talks about that stuff, and it's all stuff that we're all kind of talking together about it because we're having to learn from each other's mistakes because we are such a young staff. And I think that is kind of unique in a way because normally you can rely on a veteran to kind of talk through some things like I did last year, having Bassett, Manaea in the rotation, being able to talk to them through things, even talking to you when I was in Philly, just about certain things, about certain lineups, Nola and Eflin. And I think that it goes a long way, but I think if you're not in the trenches and you're not doing it yourself, it's very tough to make those adjustments on the fly, and it's not an easy adjustment to make at the pinnacle of our sport. So reading swings is part of it. Trusting and knowing your stuff is another thing. A lot of guys come up here, they get up here with their stuff is amazing, but they don't quite know who they are, and it takes time to develop that. And I think I was in that boat in 19 when I first got called up, not knowing who I was, bouncing through different roles. And then last year being able to be in the rotation for the whole year, not missing a start, picking up good innings, that really set the tone for how I wanted this season to go. And now kind of being relied on, or even just talking to guys about pitching and their mechanics or just, what's going on in between the lines. It's been a lot more fun for me to enjoy as a ball player and a fan of the sport.
So how does your pitch mix and stuff kind of translate to the game today? Obviously with the evolution of velocity, I always think it's interesting. We see guys that are throwing 91, 92, throwing a change over the plate and stuff. Any personal struggle as you were kind of coming up and feeling like, hey, maybe I got to reach back and find a little bit more? You talk about trusting your stuff. What's that relationship with the velocity side of your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I try not to pitch at maximum effort. I can be 93, 95 if I wanted to, but I like pitching. I like being able to know where the ball is going as soon as it releases my hand. And so I think it's when you're talking about the velocity age, velocity is great, but if you don't know where it's going, you're going to have to rely on that secondary stuff. And then hitters make that adjustment at this level to be able to hit the secondary stuff. They just don't even think about your fastball, or they don't even think about your slider. they sit on one or the other. So for me to have a 4 pitch mix is very good for, or is essential for me to have a good year because, or a good outing, because last year I look at my slider and it was like 83 to 85, 83 to 86, and I didn't like the speed differential because it was the same as my changeup. So this offseason, I think it's being registered more as a curveball, but it's more of a slurve, but it's now 77 to 80 is my slider. And so that speed differential from my changeup to my slider is now there. And now I have my slider to my curveball, which is like 72 to 75, 76. So now I have 4 different pitches at 4 different velocities that hitters need to make the adjustment on, and they can't necessarily sit on one pitch because I throw them all for strikes, and I'm in and out of the zone with them too. So and that makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference. And not only do you have those 4 different velocities, you have 4 different pitches that are in different windows with different shapes. And we all know that hitting is all timing,
Right.
and pitching is disrupting that timing.
Yes.
And I found that out, and you're totally right about that. Doesn't matter necessarily how hard you throw. You'll get away with some more mistakes, but even if you throw 100 miles an hour, if it's center cut or in the spot they're looking, that shit gets whacked, as we know. And as a starter, like, you don't want to hand the ball to anybody in the bullpen.
No.
And most of your starts, you're gonna, somebody else is gonna come in the game, because we're not gonna throw 30 shutouts a year like they used to in the 60s
Right.
and 70s. But if you can use those 4 different pitches, 4 different velocity windows to disrupt timing and get weak contact, that's all pitching is. And like you said earlier, you're going to get your strikeouts just because you're going to have those days, and hitting's
Yes.
hard as shit. And so having that understanding that, okay, the guy in the box is really good, but squaring up a baseball is one of the hardest things to do in sports.
Yes, 100%. And I think, you can get into the shift and stuff, but, the purpose of pitching is, like you said, disrupting timing. And if you have 4 pitches at 4 varying velocities, and you can add and subtract from those velocities, you're just going to be very difficult to hit. You're going to be that guy that every hitter comes in throwing their helmet against the bat rack because they're pissed about why they can't square balls off you because you're only throwing 91, 92. And it's frustrating from hitters. And it's entertaining on my end because I enjoy that aspect of it. I love frustrating guys because, to me, I know I'm doing my job correctly if I'm having 3 pitch or less at bats. I'm having guys, throw their helmet to the to the bat rack when they strike out because they think they shouldn't strike out on me. And there's always these little things that just keep me going in this game, and those are small things that I look forward to.
Hey, so you're in Boston. Just out of curiosity, do a little scouting with me. You're off working on the pen today, but if you were pitching tonight, this guy Rafi Devers is very hot. Boston's very hot right now. Is that any different for you as a starter going into a game, knowing like, the bats are super hot? They got this guy who's in the race for the MVP, or I should say will be in contention, et cetera. Or is it just kind of like, I had a good meal, I'm just doing my thing, it doesn't matter?
I mean, any team can be hot at any time. So, for me, I might look at like the last 10 games. Okay, who's the hottest in the lineup, and for me that might actually flip a lineup. So like, Ref Snyder, he just got called up. He's only got, I think, 20 something at bats with them. Like, he's swinging a hot bat right now. He's batting leadoff. He's more of like a 3 hitter right now because of the way he's swinging the bat. You look at the bottom of the lineup, they're not swinging as hot of a bat, and it just looking at the last 10 games for me is probably the most important because you're able to look at averages and look at guys' slugging numbers and know who's actually hitting for power, hitting for damage. And so when you get to those guys in a lineup, it's very easy to make sure that you're in what I call pitching in yellow, meaning I'm going to throw this guy a pitch that I like, that I want to use, but I'm going to only throw it in a location that he's going to make weak contact with. And so a lot of guys I'm pitching in green. I'm just attacking them, pitching them inside, pitching them away, throwing my changeup and throwing my slider. But there's some guys like Jose Ramirez the other day. He booked me on a 1-0 slider. 1-0 slider? I think it was 1-0 slider. He booked me, and I just think that like he's swinging a hot bat right now, and I should have thrown that pitch in a yellow situation. I had a base open. Uh, I had nobody out, but I still had a base open. It was early in the game. We still had 9 innings left to play. So there's plenty of time for us to score runs. So I shouldn't panic in that situation. And pitching in yellow would have caused me to be able to be a little bit more careful. Not that I'm not being aggressive, just a little bit more careful and making him get out of his plan rather than me getting out of mine.
That's something that I love to do. Is I like to look at guys' last 10 games, last 30 at bats,
Yeah.
because that would give you a much more clear understanding of how they're performing currently, rather than trying to go off, a historical body of work or whatever, because guys go through phases where they're just not swinging the bat well.
Yeah.
And that will definitely change the way that you're going to attack them. And what I like to do, and I like how you reference, pitching in yellow or pitching in green, because that's extremely important. And I like to just try and pitch away from slug.
Yeah.
Right, like where is a guy doing his damage? Where's he hitting his doubles? Where's he launching balls for home runs? And like you mentioned, try and pitch in those spots, away from high slugging percentage.
Yeah. Expanded fastballs or cutters in on the hands, things like that are going to make a guy uncomfortable on top of creating a poor result on the hitting side. And those are the things that I'm thinking about in game. I'm reading swings and all of that stuff on top of it, helps you prepare in the best way to make you ready for anyone that comes into town, whether they're hot or not.
Yo, I don't want to offend you guys, but what about when you pitch for a team and like the offense is as bad as it is, or it's been so far for you guys?
I don't really. I've been this way since college. I actually don't really watch too much offense. Obviously, I know when guys score. I know when we hit home runs. But I try not to watch, because to me, my job is to put up zeros every half inning that I go out there. And the only way I do that is if I don't hit. The only way I stay consistent for me is to not look at the offense of whether they're producing or not, or whether I have a lead or not. It doesn't change. For me, I'm pitching in a 0-0 ball game every time, every inning, every second I go out there. Every pitch is 0-0. How can I get this out in the best way I know how? And is my stuff good? That day, yes, no, maybe, make the adjustment. And that's a constant thing that I'm always battling, whether our offense is going well or not. Like we're having a tough go of it this year, but from a pitching side, it's, as a starting pitcher, you're going to be in there whether your team's hitting or not. And so you got to be able to do your job and keep the game as close as possible, and hope that the offense actually picks up.
Carl, if you go out there trying to pitch based on what the score is, then you're very off track. And like Cole is saying, your primary job is to go out there and attack hitters and try and get as close to 27 outs as you can, regardless of if your team's up 10 or down 10. And as a pitcher, if you're pitching according to the scoreboard, then that's detracting from your ability to just go out there and attack each hitter that's in the box. But that's a narrative that we would hear as players all the time is, do you put more pressure on yourself if your team is not having success offensively? And typically the answer is no, but that's a question that guys get asked a lot. And that's the exact mindset you have to have, is you go out there and you're trying to get 27 outs regardless of the score.
Yeah, I just don't. I think the fan experience. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. 9 out of 10 Major League Baseball fans think that you guys are taking the mound and throwing it hard, and it kind of just stops there. Oh yeah, he's got a good slider, but the nuance you talk about, the yellow zone and the green zone, and just how quickly and fluidly that exists in your brain would really, I think, surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, pitching's pitching. It's always been the same to me. I've thought about this stuff and I've had coaches since I was in high school, preparing me for this level and preparing me with that mindset. And so I've had an early exposure to that kind of thinking and to not always relying on your best stuff every day. And so like that stuff is always interesting. Like I surprised someone. I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, not many pitchers throw at 100%. Relievers, for the most part, do, but most starting pitchers throw at about 90% of their full effort.
Jake?
Did we lose him?
Jake?
Did I lose you? I'm still here. I'm still here. No.
Jake, were you 100%? Were you 100%? Were you jackhammer on the mound? Were you 100% every time?
You can't. I mean, and I was. There were plenty of times where I was 100%, and typically those outings resulted in not the types of success that you expected to have. When you exert max effort, you lose those fine motor skills that enable you to locate. And essentially, what we all learn over time is less is more. And the stuff will still translate basically the same. When I exerted 100% effort, the velocity wasn't any than it was when I was at 80%. That's just how it is.
Cole, I'm interested now that you've settled in. You got to give a shout out to a minor leaguer that you played with that you love that may not get a chance. Like if he got released or anything, or career's over or something. Like who's the guy in the minor leagues that really stood out off the field for you?
Off the field? Oh man. I mean, I played with so many great guys. I think one guy that I always, when I go to Vegas, I always see him is Nick Rickles. He's one guy that really kind of helps me in AAA understand, what style of baseball was ahead. He was a lot of fun to play with. One guy that I really enjoyed playing with, who Jake knows pretty well, is Dylan Cousins. He's one guy that I absolutely love playing with. He kind of always reminded me just to play with fun and energy and enjoy every second, on or off the field. But I mean, there's so many guys that kind of, everyone has a little something to give you, and this is how I've always what I've always believed is like everyone has something to give you, whether it's going to help you or not, or something to stay away from, or something to do or add to your routine. And there's too many guys to say that there's one in particular, but yeah, I would have to say just out of guys that off the top of my head that I just, in terms of different styles about going about their business, you know, Dylan really was a guy that just enjoyed moments, enjoyed hanging out with the guys, and enjoying, team chemistry and stuff like that. And and then Nick Rickles was a guy that loved talking pitching and loved being able to, talk to me about what I can do better and things that I can involve on as a pitcher on the field. So, yeah, those are two guys off the top of my head. There's so many more that I probably could go into detail about, but those two guys off the top of my head for sure.
I know a lot of people are asking this.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, fuck, Carl, fuck.
I can't fucking see you. You're in a conference room.
Man, I'm sorry. I'll let Carl jump in, but I just wanted to tell you, if you can, you got to go to Abe and Lou's, have some options, get a seafood tower, take some of the boys. It's my favorite restaurant.
All right, you're cutting in and out a little bit on my end, so I might have to reach out to you.
All right. Honestly, this is just my last question. I am curious. You are a baseball guy. There's that great quote: "Pitchers like poets, they're born, they're not made." Like I get the sense you love the strategy and all that shit. It's been great talking. I'm curious. You have to like baseball movies. Now you're in Oakland Athletic. Can you watch Moneyball? Is that compromised?
Yeah, no, I can watch Moneyball. I still feel like as a starting pitcher, they left out like one of the biggest pieces of why that team was successful. And with that starting rotation they had there, I feel like it wasn't appreciated. And the other thing is too is when the Coliseum's sold out every night, it's a lot of fun to play in games there too. So it's an electric atmosphere when that place is sold out, despite all the amenities and stuff not being perfect. It's a lot of fun, to play there and but yeah, Moneyball definitely can watch it. It's just not it's not necessarily, I guess, relevant to what might really be going on. I don't know what all that might be, but yeah, no, we're still gonna, you know, play the game as it should be. But Moneyball, they didn't highlight what made that team successful to me, and that was that starting pitching.
Yeah, in a sense, it's almost like I feel like Major League might be a closer comparison sometimes when you hear some of the stories come out of Oakland. Not to point fingers. I'm just saying, like, yeah, we do have uniforms, like caps and sleeves, like walking around town. People like, oh, we still got a baseball team. Like, you guys are. I'm always been a diehard A's fan. It's just good luck with ownership. I hope you guys, they should invest in that club because I love watching guys play. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I love wearing our Kelly uniforms. I'll tell you that. That's one of my favorite jerseys in baseball.
Better green, Oregon or Oakland A's?
Oh, yeah. I'd have to say the Kelly green of Oregon, but I mean it's the same Kelly, so I mean I guess I'm gonna play the middle road here and go both. But man, I loved all the combinations we had. I think when I was there, we had like 20, 24 different combinations of jerseys. It was absolutely insane.
Damn,
Yeah,
24.
we had like black pants, we had white pants, we had gray pants, we had socks, colors, all the color combinations from black to to yellow. I mean, it was just stupid. We had so much going on at Oregon when I was there. And if Nike ever wants to put some shoes on my feet, they can. That's my shout out to them because I'm still waiting on that one.
Yeah, well, you keep pitching well, man. They'll come for you. Well, look, hey, I know you're busy. I appreciate you, taking some time. I know how it is during the
Yeah.
season. It's hard to do shit like this. And I'm able to afford some better internet. I'd love to
Yeah,
have you come back on
absolutely,
with us.
absolutely. We'd love to join you guys, talk pitching. I mean, shoot, that's what I love doing every day. I mean, we get to do it. Jake, it was fun being teammates with you. I appreciated, what you had given me in my short time playing with you, but it helped a lot. And I know that there are some things that you have done, especially the sauna sessions. We just got a sauna in Oakland, and now I understand why you were in there as much as you were, like, because the sauna really helps with recovery.
What more? Tell me more. Was he like more naked? Was it? What's going on?
Well, always,
Yeah,
always
yeah, you got to
naked.
do it naked.
Come on, man. You can put a towel over yourself, but yeah, I'm stamping the cedar with the sack and the cheeks, claiming the territory. But heat training is extremely important. It's great for your heart. It's great for your mind, and especially as the summer months of the season drag on. It's great for conditioning, and also it's a good opportunity to bond with some of your guys and see how they can handle 200 heat. So I'm glad to hear you.
Yeah, no,
you're
I've
enjoying it.
adopted that. That's something that I didn't understand why you did it so much, and then now that we got a sauna and I'm in there as often as I can be, I totally get it. and it honestly it helps a lot and just loosens you up from the inside. It's awesome. It's great.
What advice do you have for me as a
Yeah,
teammate of Jake's?
I love going in there and stretching, man.
Just don't cut him off as much. I think that's the first thing, right? Like don't cut him off as much. Let him finish what he's saying. No, I'm joking. He's great. I've always enjoyed having conversations with him, and I think the biggest thing is just let him be him. That's all I learned is just let Jake be Jake, and he's going to teach you some things, whether you want to learn it or not.
There you go, Carl.
Thought we were gonna have a little standoff there, pal. No, that's good advice. I've been picking that one up. We'll have to huddle up again at the All-Star game or something, and I'll whisper some secrets I've learned along the way. So
Sounds good. Looking forward to talking to you guys again. Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
That's Cole Irvin. That was a cool conversation. Would you do interviews like at the ballpark like that? I thought that was kind of cool. He was in section 26 or whatever.
Yeah, there were quite a few times where, I would even do them kind of in the cab or in the Uber on the way to the field. Depends on what happened the night before or how much sleep you got. If you just got into a city, sometimes you needed to push it back. And, doing interviews like that, thankful that he did it and thankful to all the guys that come on our show. But sometimes it can feel like a hassle, to give an hour or so because you don't get much time before you go to the field, and it's nice to kind of just do nothing, and then you're at the field for almost 12 hours. So, but yeah, I would do them. I like to wake up early. I would do some on the golf course or walking around the city just with headphones in, and kind of get them in that way. So I try to do as many as I could within reason and try and oblige all the requests that I was getting. But sometimes you got to say no.
I'll say I really enjoyed hearing the crack of the bat. I don't know if you guys noticed that a couple times. There was definitely some BP that was going on, and there's a sound effect that I put in the podcast, and for some reason I was like, "Am I
noticed
hearing
it?"
that?
Notice the sound effect, by the way. Shout out, Colin. That's a great sound effect. It's a nice little touch. I should have said that before you acknowledged the sound effect to let you know. Isolate that audio, not to be too like FBI counterterrorism unit here, but I'm asking you to zone in and enhance that sound so that people draw some attention to that. All right, so I'll be very honest. We've had quite a bit of logistics stuff going on because we are currently in the process of going to Omaha. Like Jake is on an airplane right now. If you can't tell, he's at 30,000 feet.
I'm in a desk chair moving around this conference room trying to find a decent signal. I was in my room. I had the webcam set up. The lights were on point. We got about 5 minutes in, and then it just goes to shit.
I'm just going to cut you there, big fella. I got Colin. I can't hear a word you're saying. Colin, don't cut any of this. I mean, this is just...
Now I'm outside. I'm by the trash cans in the back of the hotel. I got one more bar. I'm losing my mind over here. I'm losing my mind. No, I'm not the valet. Sorry, I'm not the valet.
But, yeah, okay, but he can't help you, ma'am. Don't be afraid to ask him for help. Okay, so that's Cole Irvin. Great conversation. Love the pitchability stuff. Jake, you guys were former teammates. I apologize. We should have spent more time on you and him and those 2019 Phillies.
Well, part of that was my fault. No, look, when Cole came up, and I saw him in spring training, I knew that he had the ability and the head on his shoulders to eventually be a consistent major league starter. And it's a tough game. It just really is. And it seems like it took him a little bit of time to understand who he is from a stuff standpoint. Because regardless of if you know it or not, there are times when you get out there and you try and do more than you're capable of as far as effort-wise and trying to blow things by guys. And it's just it's a tough game. But, he realizes that he doesn't have to pitch with 100% effort. And by doing that, you get more out of your stuff. And it's evident by the way he's pitching now.
Yeah, this is the type of guy who could pitch for a little bit if he gets really settled in and confident with his stuff like he talked about. And I do very much enjoy these types of players and stuff. Everybody's always ready to talk about the next big phenom and stuff, but it's cool to see the guys that are thinking ahead, and you could tell just like he's a pitcher, like I said, born not made. Like that just like if he wasn't pitching, he would be pitching. There isn't another thing that guy's doing. He's just a pitcher. So we're going to run into a bunch of baseball players in Omaha. We've got obviously a ton of time to catch up on some major league stuff around the horn. There isn't anything that I really want to press based on the logistics of the show and everything. I know we got some timelines to keep here, and we're going to be spending a lot of time together on the weekend. So how can people follow us? You want to be following us on what? Instagram, Twitter, YouTube? We're going to be coaching Cooper's team. Am I coaching Cooper's team on Friday with you, or what is that?
I would love to have you give them like a pregame little pep talk, and put a spin on it. You know, whatever you can bring. This is their last tournament of the summer. They're all very, very excited. You need to bring the energy, and just kind of express, you know, the importance of playing in Omaha. And I think you're capable of that.
It's a responsibility I don't take lightly, much like the responsibility of being a good partner and teammate to you guys, just like you guys are a good teammate, good partners to me. Colin, again, I've said it once, I'll say it one more time. Thank you for your efforts. We're looking forward to have you in Omaha with us as well. And Jake will have his first Ben Mintz experience. Those who know what that means, know what that means. Those who don't, I would tune in Saturday night. Ole Miss should be some shit.
I look forward to that. I can't wait.
All right, big fella. I'm going to cut you loose. This is Starting Nine. Subscribe to our stuff. And we'll be back next week with some loaded content from the College World Series. Until then, everybody drive safe, stay safe.
Thanks for listening, everybody.